We are live with Fayek Faza, Aiden Karadza's friend.
Thank you.
Aiden Karadza's here. Yeah,
Yep.
Fayek, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Finally, it's been a while. We tried doing this, I think, 2 years ago. Then last summer, couldn't make it happen. So
Yeah.
now we're all here finally doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Aiden, thank you for arranging this and pulling in.
Yeah.
Fayek's a hard guy to kind of get, you know. This is his time.
No,
time,
no.
time is money in his
Yeah.
world, as
No,
we'll soon
Fayek is a cool story.
we'll soon
Yeah.
learn. But it's strange to me because just a few weeks ago I saw you in Croatia.
Yeah. It was we were having a good time. We were in Makarska, right?
Yep.
And we met up, me, you, and Martin. So it was fun. Like, you know, good to get away, like get your mind off things like that. But I mean,
How did you go through that decision? Because your friend, so Martin was already there. So this is a third friend here.
Yeah.
He was already in Croatia.
Yeah.
Aiden was already in Croatia.
Yeah, I think it was 3 days before you ended up flying over. I got a text from you, should I come? And then 3 days later, you were in Croatia.
Yeah. That's pretty much what happened. It was kind of like last minute. So Martin was like, you know, if you want to come, you can. But it was all like you know, we didn't talk about it really. And then I was like, okay. I just looked online. I saw the tickets and I was like, let's do it. And I just ended up going, and it was a great time.
Did you get your tickets on points?
Yeah, some of it was on points.
The reason I asked because I know we're gonna get into the business you do, and I feel like you're always shuttling money around and shuttling different credit cards around to manage your cash flows. So I figured you have some points.
Yeah. No, of course it was with points. So I mean, you got to make use of it, right? So I ended up using some of my points and then just the rest with you know. But they're expensive tickets, like.
That's why I'm saying it. You booked it last month. I don't know how many 20-year-olds are booking a last
3 days before the flight.
Yeah. It was a last minute thing, but it was worth it at the end of the day. Like, can't complain, right?
Are you even 20 right now?
I just turned 20, so on the 4th.
Okay.
Yeah.
So give us a little introduction. Like, how do you and Aiden know each other? Who is Fayek? Are you at university right now?
Yeah.
Well, give us just a little bit of background about who you are.
Yeah,
Where were you born? Give us a little bit.
Of course. So, I was born in Mississauga, and then I moved to. So when I was about, I think it was like 3 or 4, I moved. Actually, no, maybe 5. Sorry, I moved to Jordan, so it's a lot of, like, you know, whole other side of the world. Lived there for about 4 or 5 years, and then moved back in 2010, right around there. And then from there on, you know, living in Canada. So I've lived in like different places and stuff like that. So I've experienced like different kind of lifestyles and, you know, like just stuff like that, which is obviously like a cool thing. Me and Aiden go back like way back between.
Yeah, we met probably like grade 5 or 6 playing soccer.
Yeah. So
and then we were friends since soccer. We went to different high schools.
Mm-hmm.
And then now we're roommates at Western University.
Yeah, surprisingly enough. So, no, it's great though. Like our relationship's really good. Like, you know, we've known each other for a while. We know each other like not just through like, you know, like just mutually, like through soccer, which I like, you know, because it's, you know,
I still remember your free kicks at soccer, man.
Yeah.
I still remember.
And then it was kind of random that we both realized we were going to Western and we ended up living together.
Yeah, that's what that was funny because it was like, we kind of like got into a group chat and it was like, and Martin at the time, actually, it was funny we mentioned him earlier, but he was supposed to come to Western too. He was thinking about it and we were like, let's get a place together or whatever.
Nobody was always in there from the beginning too.
Yeah, exactly. And then James, and then it just all happened. But Martin ended up coming, went to Guelph. But no, it's been great. Like, I mean, obviously first year was rough, right, with COVID and everything and the situation in the residences, but second year has been great, and third year is gonna be really fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so
why Jordan? Both parents are from Jordan. Are both your parents born in Jordan?
Yeah,
both born in Jordan. You still have family there?
Yeah, I do. I have like, you know, grandparents and aunts and stuff like that. But
do you remember living there? You were pretty young, but
of course.
I guess you remember there.
Yeah. So the whole point of that move, honestly, with my dad was that he wanted me to know my grandparents more and stuff like that, and, you know, like meet parts of that family. So we went back there and it was really nice. Like, you know, the weather's always good. Like, you know, the way you live there is different than here, right? Like, you know, you have all like these, I don't know, like there's like, you know, everyone has like you know, maids and stuff like that. It's more like, you know what I mean? It's not like here where it's like grind and, you know, it's a little bit different. So, but it was nice to experience, I think. And I met some cool people there too, like, you know, at school, and I still keep in touch with some of them. And some of them actually moved back to Canada as well after us, which is funny. So, but yeah, it was like nice to like live in that kind of area and, you know, like experience that kind of thing, and then move back. And now now I'm here, and it's I like it here though, obviously, but you know.
So let's get into
what you're doing.
Yeah. So let's get, so Aiden sometimes will kind of tell me, like, all I hear from my end is that Fayek is buying some shoes and he has a bot
Right.
And he's able to buy some shoes. And one day I heard a story. I don't know if this is accurate.
Yeah.
Maybe my memory's off. That you managed to buy a pair of Yves Saint Laurent, Nike,
Dior Jordan 1s.
Jordan 1s.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that story.
Jordan.
Yeah.
So what is it that you do now? Just tell everyone what you do, and then maybe we'll then we'll rewind.
Just briefly, and then we can go back to how it started.
Yeah. So I do reselling. I've been reselling sneakers mainly, and then obviously other markets opened up at one point during 2020 to 2021. Which was like, a lot of it was graphics cards, and PS5s are still a big thing today, like consoles and stuff like that. They have a really good margin, and they're, in my eyes, like they're pretty easy to get, but for the average folk it's not that easy still. So there's a market there, so it's like always like nice to gain like new kind of things other than shoes, obviously. But I mean, so I'm basically just a reseller. Been doing it for a couple of years. I like it a lot.
So what kind of shoes do you buy?
Mostly like Nike, Adidas, anything that's high end, hard to get. Things that sell out, obviously. Yeezy stuff like that.
No, I don't know anything. So like when you see these shoes, you see that your friends are asking for. Like, how do you know they're hard to get? Because on the websites they're always selling out. Your buddies are saying, "I can't get these shoes."
Yeah, a mix of both. And then there's obviously platforms like StockX, multi-billion platforms that these shoes are almost like a stock now, right? So you can obviously see like what they're asking, what people are asking, what people are paying, and then there's obviously market trends. Like I know the Jordan 1 Mochas, when those came out, I think I ended up for one of my I supply a store, so he needed about, I think it was like 10 pairs. So I ended up picking 10 pairs for him. I think the price was at the time, I think it was around 400 something. And today they're like 800 to 1,000. So if you catch market trends, and that's just within a year, right? So if you catch market trends, things that are like, like it's an investment, right? So you can invest in this kind of stuff. And, a lot of people that, like me, let's say I do a lot of buying and selling, but there's a lot of people that buy and hold for a while. And then based on trends, they can, sell after for a pretty good margin, right? So
StockX is a website where you can go and see what shoes are buying and selling kind of on the secondary market, like on the resale market.
Exactly,
so you can get an idea what's trending and not trending, what's hard to get, what's easy to get.
Exactly, yeah.
So you pick up some of that data.
Yeah.
How come this store calls you and says, I need a few pairs of this? What did you say?
The Jordan 1 Mochas.
Any Jordans still are pretty hard to find, or any sought after Nike, Adidas shoe.
But these guys are a store, but they still can't get it themselves, so they find like a wholesaler like you.
Yeah, because it's more of the connections, right? So like they could obviously go and buy it from anyone, right? But the two things that I have is like, let's say, connections with quantity. Like a lot of people, you can go on Kijiji, Facebook Marketplace, find someone that's selling it for, let's say, 600 because they want to make it on that one pair. It's not like they're selling bulk, so they don't have those kind of resources of like between that market of there's a whole bunch of people that get a lot of sizes and a lot of stock, and you don't see them much, right? Like it's only like you have to know them and then kind of have that connection. So it's all connections at the end of the day. But so he did end up messaging me for that, and then I ended up just making that happen.
And to be clear, I guess the store you're supplying is a reselling store.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So they have a margin as well. Like stores are like kind of like, I shouldn't really say this because people that that are buying that want to buy sneakers, if you're buying from a store, you're probably paying the highest premium, and that's just flat out because it's all a chain, right? And it's with anything. So you get it from the retailer, that's the cheapest you're gonna get it at, and then you come to me I'm more of like a supplier, so I would have my margin that I work with. And then there's the store price, which is the stores because, they have that in-store experience. They have a lot of sizes available and whatever. And then they have a premium on that, and they have their own fees. So they have to, they have like a physical store. So they have to pay for that kind of stuff. So they have to add that into their prices, right? So stores are usually the most expensive place to pay for it, like to buy shoes, sorry. And then obviously, even StockX, like I know you guys bought something recently, and like, when you click review order,
the one time you couldn't get me something, we had to.
The one time, yeah, because I was just all over the place.
Thanks for letting us down.
I'm
buy it on StockX.
Yeah, I know, but it is, StockX sometimes people don't realize, but it is pretty expensive because once you get to that
those
final
fees
stages,
are crazy.
The fees, exactly. People don't realize those fees, and they always look at just like the buy now price before all these fees, and then that's what they compare it to, but that's not the right comparison, right? So
okay, so let me slow you down here for a second because you're covering a lot of ground.
yeah.
When you're doing this, how is a 20-year-old talking about margin? Like you just said, the margin I work with.
Yeah.
So you figured out if I'm buying a pair of shoes for X number of dollars, you're going to make a set percentage when you resell it. Is that dynamic?
It's dynamic, 100%, because there's a lot of things that are like you can make 1,000% on, like things that are crazy that no one can get, and you probably get one pair, but you're making 1,000%, so you can't complain. Some things you can make maybe 10%, and if you want to clear it out, 5%, 20%. Like you have to just kind of work with. And another thing is that cash flow is one thing, right?
Depends on the shoe. I think it depends on the shoe as well.
Exactly. Like, and in the market itself, right? Because at the end of the day, it's a market. So things are going up and down, like less demand for this, it's always like that. So, but you kind of like, in my sense, I try to keep myself in a steady margin. You know what I mean? So like, some things will have more margin, some things will not, but I try to keep myself in an average, so that's the most important, I think, at the end of the day.
So I need to ask you more questions. You're freaking me out here in a good way, but how does, how much volume are you doing a month or a year, just to paint a picture? You don't have to share all your secrets, but can you give us like some idea of how many pairs or dollar amount, or like how much do you do?
I mean,
you can just say a lot.
Yeah, I mean, a decent amount. Let's just say a decent amount.
So are you doing like tens of thousands a month?
Yeah. So like turnover usually, I'd say maybe like, it honestly depends between the months. Depends on what's coming out, because in my game, it's more of I'm getting from the retailer. So if the retailers are slowing down, I'm slowing down in a way.
Yeah, I'm sure those Christmas months.
Exactly, Christmas months are always amazing, stuff like that. But I mean, I don't know. I'd say like maybe like 40 to 80,000 a month turnover, so something around there. But it just depends on the month, right? So
so at our age, that's pretty crazy. And supplying stores, buying and selling in bulk. How did wanna go into kind of how you started and what this how this began?
So started with me actually just like in grade 9. Basically, and it was funny. I walked into one of my classes and I saw this guy wearing a pair of Yeezys. I didn't know, I don't know shoes at the time, right? Like, I remember actually in grade maybe 7 or 8, and I was talking with my friends, and they were like talking about all these Jordans. I'm like, I don't even know what you guys are talking about, like Jordan 1, 2, 7, and they're like, I don't know what any of these things were.
I feel like around that time too, Yeezys and Ultra Boosts were going crazy.
Oh yeah, 100%. So I saw this guy wearing a pair of Yeezy, I think it was Pirate Black V1s or something like that. And I asked him, like, oh, like, what are these? Like, they look cool. Like, I want to know about them. And he's like telling me all this stuff. Like, these are Yeezys. These are like whatever. So I just got into it, and then I started researching a lot, and like I started looking at like a lot of like shoes, and like really starting to understand like this whole culture, because it's a culture behind it. Like in the end of the day, and I got really interested, and then funny enough, because at the time I didn't know, right? So I looked on like Amazon, and I was like, oh, I found these for like $80 or whatever, and at the time they were reselling for I think $1,500. So I've ended up buying this, and I was like, oh my god, like I got It was funny.
It was like a knockoff.
Yeah, it was a knockoff, obviously. Yeah. So it was funny, but then from that, I ended up seeing that, and then start looking into this kind of stuff, and I was like, oh, like there's like this whole other sector of like knockoffs, like crazy knockoffs, whatever. And I got into all this stuff, and I started to know, actually, when I started to resell myself, I could use this information that I learned to really see what's a knockoff, what's not. You know what I mean? Like if someone's trying to like trade me or something like that, I could always and I had a situation actually where one time I went to do a deal with this guy. I was trading one of my pairs for like 4 of his pairs. I looked at one of them, and he tried to make it all legit. Like he had like a little champs thing on it and whatever. And I looked at it, and I was like, yeah, I'm good, buddy. Like you can go home now. I don't want to have what you're having. So it actually helped in the end of the day. Like it's good to know, and like I can always spot things out. I mean, I'm not like what's his name? What's that guy? Yeezy Busta. I'm not like that guy. You know, he's like his whole thing is on that, but that's not me.
What's that?
He's like this guy that he's like notorious for like
he
calling
calls
out
like
fake,
celebrities when they're wearing fake shoes.
Exactly.
Oh god.
Yeah. So like that, I'm not like that, but I mean, I know my stuff, which is important, I think, especially like when you're dealing with this stuff all the time.
For sure.
But
so this is great. So then in grade 9, you see this.
You get into it a little
grade
bit.
9, and then grade 9, I think it was February when the Bread 350 V2s, which were
Those are Yeezys.
They're Yeezy at the time. and I wanted these things so badly, right? Like I really, really wanted them. And it was funny enough. I woke up in the morning, I was on my phone on Instagram, and I saw this like Instagram post saying like, are you guys in the waiting room? And I was like, what are you guys talking about? And I see like Adidas, like go to this site, adidas.com/easy. And at the time it was like a waiting room system. And so I went in on my phone. I was just, waiting in the waiting room, right? And I ended up like, which is now after like what I know, this is like really, really rare, right? And I ended up passing the waiting room to actually buy the shoe. And after like, I'm like stressing out on my phone. I'm like, oh my God, like I can't add this to cart, whatever. Eventually I get to it. I'm like, Dad, I need your credit card. I run and grab his credit card. He's like, what are you doing buying? Like, why are you spending $350? I'm like, just listen to me. Trust me. Like they're good. Like, just let me buy them.
We all know that feeling.
Yeah. Like it was crazy. Like the first time and like with no experience and stuff like that to be able to get something like that. And then, so I ended up buying them and I had them for quite a while actually, and I didn't know like how to even sell them. Like I knew there was Facebook Marketplace, Kijiji, and all that stuff, but I was really sketched out.
So that was your first shoe that you were looking to resell that, or you wanted that to wear?
No, so I got a size 9 at the time. I was a size 9, and I really, really wanted to keep them, but I knew like deep down it's a really bad idea to keep something that's worth at the time like $700-800, and you can make some money. So I was like, I even talked to my dad about them. I'm like, listen, Dad, like this is the situation. I got these for $350. I want them for myself, or do you think I should sell them? He goes, listen, don't even like tell me. Just go get rid of those things. Like they're not worth.
So that was your first kind of experience of selling a shoe, and that's in grade 9.
Yeah, and it was funny. So that actually the way that ended off was after a couple months I called up. Do you know the store in Toronto called Hotbox?
Yeah.
It's a
You've
really
been
big
there
store.
a bunch of times.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they have a couple locations now. At the time, they only had one location, and I went downtown Toronto with my dad. We brought the shoes in the shipping box. I kept the shipping box because I didn't know at the time, like to make sure everything's like legit.
The brown shipping box.
The brown shipping box, like everything like that. I brought it down to this guy. We walk in. His name, oh my God, I can't remember his name. Anyways. My dad had a really good conversation with him. Like we had a really good convo, and he explained a lot of stuff to me at the time. He was a really nice guy, and like he's really successful now, like multiple stores. Like actually, it's funny. I saw him a couple weeks ago before I left to Croatia. I was getting out my car.
You've done some more business with them now?
Not really, because I look to do different stores, but I know he has his thing going. So, but anyway, so I come out of my car and I see him and his girlfriend walking, and I came up to me and he goes, he remembers me. He goes like it was 4 years ago or 5 years ago at that time. And he remembers who I was, and he's like, is your dad doing good? Like, he remembers who I was from that first time. And I told him this is my first sale. Like, this is my first time selling shoes. He gave me, for that shoe, for those Bread 350s, he gave me $750 cash. Walked out the door, and I was like, wow, like, this is incredible. So, like, after experience, like, that crazy, like, margin and what you can do with all this, then I just really got into it, right?
So, was it right after that you started to try to do this more
a little
bit?
Of course. And for me at the beginning, it was just all like my hand, like manually. So people, I use bots and stuff like that. But before,
maybe quickly talk about what a bot is for someone listening.
Okay, so a bot
just
is
a brief.
Yeah. A bot is an automated, like it's a software, and they there's a whole thing about them where like there's a market for them, like people buy and sell bots. It's a whole other thing,
which is crazy,
yeah, and whatever. But so you use these softwares in order, if you have a proper setup. It's not just the bot. People always ask me like, oh, is it just like a bot you need? And I'm like, no, it's really just one part of the equation. It's a whole other thing with proxies, whatever, all this kind of stuff. Anyways, so if you have
a bot's something you use if Adidas is going to have a shoe release.
Yeah, a bot will check you out of the website faster than someone can manually.
Yeah,
so
like
right
100%.
When a shoe releases, Fayek will have his bot set up, and then the bot will purchase a sneaker instantly right when it comes out.
Oh yeah,
puts in your Visa card.
Oh
so
yeah,
like if I'm trying to compete against you,
you have no chance.
Yeah. Zero chance.
Got it. Okay.
So, anyway, so.
That's part of the reason why now it's impossible to get any shoe that you want because of these bots.
Yeah. So at the time I was just doing it like with my trying to get it in my hands, and it wasn't as big as a thing. Like bots weren't as big back then. It's a really small market, and not many people knew about it, right? Because it was still like kind of just coming up. Like these sneakers really started to get a hype. Like 2017, 2018. Yeah. So anyway, so I had like really small success. Like I would get one thing at a time, two things, whatever. And it was I liked it though, and I started learning like how to post, how to read, like how to take the pictures.
So then you were doing this a little bit,
yeah.
Making listings on
100%,
Facebook Marketplace, stuff like that. And then when was it that you decided to take this a little more seriously? And then maybe when was your first bot purchase when you're like, I want to do this for real?
Yeah, so my first bot purchase was actually in grade 10 in the summer, okay? And this is when I started really like looking at these guys' Twitter accounts and stuff like that. I was really like getting into it. And they had a shock kind of like, because the way they release these keys is they sell them through like whatever their Twitters or whatever at the time. So you would be like kind of like waiting on Twitter, and then you'd refresh. And if they, you know, when they say that they're going to release it at some kind of time, like you don't know during the day, but you're kind of like sitting on your thing, like anxiously waiting. Whatever. I ended up getting this thing, right? It was like $300 for a lifetime key, right? I'll say that it's Project Destroyer. It's nothing like they're not as crazy now, but so I ended up buying this key, and I was like so stoked. I was like, oh my god, like now it's gonna go to my next level. Like I have a bot now. Like I'm gonna learn so much.
Yeah, you were hyped.
Yeah, I was hyped. So I started like, and this is the beginning of the summer. So I got in the beginning of the summer. The whole summer, I kept trying and trying. I didn't know how to do this thing at all. Like I was terrible. I didn't know. I got nothing out of it, right? So for a whole summer, got nothing out of this bot. Like I didn't know how to use it at all, which is my point, right? Which I was saying, like people just like, you just need a bot, and it's not like that. So, and at the time this bot was performing good, I just didn't know how to use it. So I ended up selling it actually in August, and I sold it for $400. And it's a funny story. So, when I sold it,
because there's a market for these bots.
Because there's a market, exactly. And I sold it, and it was a lifetime key. Okay, so, anyways, so I ended up like, you know, fast tracking, whatever, going through a lot more things, finally getting some better bots, starting to understand whatever. I ended up actually messaging the guy that I sold it to, and he told me, so he bought it for $400, right? At the time, this is probably a couple years ago, so I think this was maybe back in 2019. I went back to him and I was like, so what are you doing? What did you do with that bot? He told me that he bought it for $400. He was renting it out every month. He would rent it for sometimes $100. He was probably up to $3,000, and it was just one key, and it was $400.
It's crazy.
And it was a lifetime thing. So the reason why it was so like, it was such an intriguing way of doing it is because it was lifetime. You don't pay any renewal fees. So imagine you bought like 10 of these, right? You could it's $1,000, but it's like in the end of the day, your investment's $4,000. Like you're making $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
And it was a crazy market.
Into this.
That's what I'm saying. So,
so now you have the bots.
And just so I understand, this bot. So this is online. You log into some system.
So you download their software, and then you can log in via the key.
Okay. Oh, you need this key. So the thing, because usually software you can just copy a million times.
No.
The key allows you the access.
Exactly.
So it's this key that
allows the access. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was and at the time, so on top of all of that, so he made like whatever $3,000, right, off renting, doing nothing, just sitting down, just logging in. Okay, you want to rent it? Here you go. That's it, right? The bot became worth, I think at that point, $1,600. So it's like literally buying a house. Like, you know, you buy for this much, or you have equity now, and then you also get rental. It's like the same thing you guys are doing.
That's
like, you know what I mean? Like it's on a very small scale and whatever, very simple term, but like that's what this guy did. And so if you did that, imagine times like 10, 20.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy.
So at this point now we're in high school. You have bots.
Yeah. So grade 11, I start getting into it. I got this bot that I still have it until now. It's one of my favorite bots to use. It's called Wrath. And I just like really started getting into like botting. And
I think I remember, I didn't realize, I knew you were doing this, but I didn't realize the extent you were doing this. I think it was in grade 12 grad camping.
Grade 12 grad camping. Yeah. So that's a funny story. So we were at grad camping, and I needed so I was using my bot. So at the time there was a release. There was a Jordan 1 release.
Fayek crashed our grad camping.
Yeah, that's what
didn't go to our high school, but he came with.
Yeah, I crashed at their grad camping, and anyways, so I went into my friend's car. I'm like, listen, I need your data. My data was out, and I was like, I need your data for like maybe 30 minutes. Let me just do this. I went in the car, I had my laptop with me. I brought my laptop to grad camping. I opened it up.
You needed to buy the sneakers.
Yeah, so I wanted to go for the release. So I ended up logging in, whatever, and I got like
I was sitting beside you.
Yeah,
in the car.
You saw it. So I only ended up getting, I think, what was it, like 5-6 pairs at the time, but it was like just like amazing that I could do that.
I think that's when I realized, you were taking this more seriously and doing this at a bigger scale.
Exactly. Yeah.
So who were you going to sell those to?
Those ones, I think I sold those off individually, like not.
Okay, so just other students, other friends.
Yeah, no, even like just people
Facebook Marketplace.
Marketplace. Could you like I still use it until now. So, Yeah, I only got 5-6 pairs of those, but like the feeling was amazing, right? Because I'm like,
I remember how happy you were. That was a huge success.
Yeah, because I mean, each one I think I was making at the time like, what was it, like $100 or $150 profit? Like it's pretty good. Like, you know, just it took me 30 minutes, logged in, clicked start, waited there for 30 minutes. Got some.
You were using my hotspot.
Yeah, using your hotspot. Should have gave you a little
cut?
you know, cut out of that. But yeah, and then I went home. They were already arrived. They all like, you know, arrived and everything. And I posted the listing, and then, you know, slowly one by one sold them all.
So then did it start ramping up even further from there?
Of course, yeah. So I mean, 6 pairs. Yeah, that's okay. Depends on the release. But I mean, now like, the most amount of pairs I think I've got off one release was the slides, the Yeezy slides. Not this release, not the previous one. There was one that was just like maybe like
recently.
Recently, like 2 weeks ago. That's when we were in Croatia, and I couldn't, you know, have my full setup kind of thing. But at the one before that, I ended up between both the colorways at the time, because they both released at the same time. I think I ended up with over 100 pairs around there. So I have a picture. I showed it to you.
And you're shipping all these to different locations?
Yeah, so some of them are shipping out. Some of them I would meet up with bulk buyers. Some of them.
What do you mean shipping out? You're shipping them directly to other people?
Yeah.
So you have some customers and you're buying on their behalf, putting their address in.
Oh yeah, that's a whole other topic I'll get into.
Okay.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Though.
He does. Yeah.
Yeah, I do that as well. So I've done that with you, like, you know, not on that idea, but like just kind of helping you out with my. Yeah. So I'll get into that sec. But yeah, so, you know, between bulk buyers, single, you know, people that are buying, I still have like whatever 2 pairs or something like that. I'm almost out. But yeah, so then
that shows you how much demand though there is.
Yeah, it's
wait,
crazy.
so yeah, slow down here for me. So you're buying these shoes, you got all these pairs. Where are you finding all the customers? So you've already have relationships because on some Discord groups, or like where are you finding?
Yeah. So Discord's a big thing. Discord is
Discord. Can you describe what Discord is to anyone who doesn't know what it is?
Yeah, so it's basically you can join into these groups that, in my case, you know, Discord can be used for a lot of things, for schoolwork, whatever, anything like that. You can make a free chat and just have your friends in it, and you can have like voice chats, you can have general chats, you can make whatever. It's a really big platform, right?
Yeah, you're talking in it just.
Yeah, 100%. So anyways, but with what I like with my business, these chats, there's a monthly fee, right? So you get in these chats and they have a lot of information,
like release
details,
information, so you know when have to set up bots, or if something's gonna come out locally at a store.
Exactly. A lot of information that you won't get off the internet. Like, it's very specific information and stuff like that. And then there's obviously chats, and a lot of people that like me, right, that are in these chats. So, you know, when you have people like me, they have their buyers, and they're looking for a size, and you want to, you know, sell it to them. Or there is like specific bulk buyers that are always promoting what they want, and you can message them, and it's a whole other thing, right? So
okay, so this is like a marketplace,
almost in a way, but it's also like it's for information. It's a marketplace. It's a chat group. It's all in one.
Paid for. So you kind of filter out a lot of people who aren't serious.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's not like you can just go on and buy a membership right now. They're sold out. So if you want to get into these groups, it's not as hard, let's say, but it is still hard. Like, you have to know what you're doing, kind of thing. And a lot of people that don't know what they're doing, they can get in these groups, and if they don't utilize it properly, they'll just leave because they don't know what they're doing, right? Yeah. So, you know, it does filter out a lot of these people, but
so yeah, no, at this point now you're buying, you know, lots of sneakers. You did the PlayStations for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that slowed down a bit. You can talk about that.
PlayStations, no, they're still good, but I mean, obviously the margins, like, when they first came out, I think you could buy one for, what was it, like $711 plus tax, sell it for $1,400.
Okay, so those are doing well. You had good margins on PlayStation, so you've been really selling lots of shoes.
Yeah. I mean,
PlayStations, anything that you can get your hands on and resell.
Exactly. Yeah, whatever there's a market for, basically, like.
So that's what you're doing right now. That's pretty much up to date.
Yeah, up to date. Yeah. A lot of.
So run through maybe quickly. I see it because I live with you, but quickly, what you're doing like on a daily basis, and what goes into doing, like, apart from just the bots and kind of stuff, just what you have to do on a daily basis. What does your day look like?
So usually, like, anything sneaker related is gonna be in the mornings. It's usually like, if it's a Yeezy release, it's usually like 7 a.m.
Because that's when they come out.
Yeah, it's when they come out, exactly. So it's kind of nice though, because you get to get over the main stuff in the morning, and then you kind of have like the rest of the day to do other things.
So
whatever.
Yeezys are released every day?
Not every day, but when they do have a release, you wake up obviously before then and have your setup ready and everything like that.
And this is your setup with your bots.
Exactly.
Set up on the Easy website. Is that Nike?
Adidas and
wasn't it Nike before?
Foot Locker.
I'm on
It was Yeezy
it was
a
Nike,
long time ago.
Yeah, and then he moved over.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's on the Adidas website. Okay, so you take care of that stuff. If there's an easy release, you take care of that in the morning.
Then
exactly,
like inventory posting, like
inventory
listings.
posting, exactly. So like I would have like to post up and whatever new listings and stuff that's coming in, whatever, and then just keeping track of, you know, people messaging them, you know, just staying in the loop, right? That's usually how the day goes, but it's mostly everything in the morning. So I'd probably be done around 11 a.m. I'd say, and then I have more, like, there's not many releases past that. It's basically done for the day. That's when you can kind of like chill out, because like before then it's like you got to really be like on your stuff.
You got to be on it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So in your industry, you need capital because you're trying to buy a lot of these sneakers up front at once, and then you're selling them later. So you need the capital, and I know you've been like with the credit card.
Yeah.
Why don't you talk about that a little bit? How you've been able to get, you know, more and more capital up front over time?
Yeah. So I mean, when I first started, I was using my parents' credit cards, obviously, because I was like,
weren't even 18 yet.
Yeah, I was 15. I can't even get a credit card, right? So like, there's no other way. So, you know, thank you, Ryan, my dad, for supplying me there. But yeah, so I started like that with that. And then once I can get my own credit card, the day I was 16, that was like my gift, like my birthday present. It was basically 18, sorry. I went to the bank, got my credit card. Actually, at the time as well, I think my dad gave me a supplementary on one of his cards, which was nice. So I could kind of get that going. But I learned a lot, like, you know,
so how many credit cards do you have right now?
Yeah. Okay. Not including supplementary card.
Yeah.
I think 9 or 10.
Okay.
So, and then I have like another.
And so this is your access to capital. You figured out how to get these credit cards. You use these credit cards to buy your inventory.
Yeah, but
you're managing the balances on these credit cards. Then.
Yeah, of course. Like
so you're doing major cash flow management here.
Of course, yeah. But I honestly, like, the cards aren't as much, like, there is obviously a point of having, you know, the demand of the cash ready, right? Like that kind of stuff. That's good. But I mean, I never have like held a balance through my cards throughout a month. I always clear my cards end of the month. Like I don't like to pay interest or whatever. So and that's why I tell Aiden all the time, because he's always on his debit card, and I'm like, listen, you're paying this at the end of the month. You're not like, you might as well get the benefits.
No,
you have a cash back.
I use my credit.
No, come on. I always used to pull up the debit. I'm like, dude, get the
I need
the
to go
credit
to
card out.
I need a higher limit.
As his father, I like him pulling out the debit card.
No, I know, but I mean,
I just talked to Lorenzo about this in the last podcast. Actually, I'm good for my next credit card now. I'm
yeah. I know you got it. You were hyped for that new one, so that's good. But I'm saying, like, in my case, I'm never, you know, looking to like
it makes sense
and stuff like that. So you might as well get the best out of it.
Okay, so you get your first credit card, and then how do you work your way up to getting, you know, higher credit limits and all of these different ones?
Well, you just gotta be really like consistent and stay on top of your stuff, right? Like, you know, you have to know your balances, pay your balances. Like, you have to keep yourself, like, let's say when I first started, let's say maybe I needed some cash. I would sell something off I didn't want to sell for maybe a lower margin or whatever, just to keep that rate going. And then you can kind of build yourself up like that. And then, you know, you start going to different, I open like bank accounts with like other banks, and then you have like a card with them and whatever. So you can build yourself up like that. So you've done
this, so you've had access to a little more capital.
Of course, yeah.
And that's been great, and I know you've needed to do that to scale.
Exactly, and not just the capital that's the main thing. It's about the way that shoes, like with online
the way
purchasing,
they release.
It's one per credit card. So that's a really big factor.
True.
So it's not almost about the capital. It's about just having them.
So you can get as many pairs as possible.
Exactly, yeah. Because if, let's say I'm only stuck with one, then at most I can get one. Like that's the whole thing. So if you have 10, at most you can get 10.
Yeah,
so then it makes a difference.
Sometimes something's about to come out at our house at school, and Flack's like running down the stairs. Or like, let me run your card. Like credit cards available.
Like I'm like, because I've already used all mine. I'm like, I need someone just, you know, it's just like that. So. But yeah, it's you know, that's another important part that people don't understand when I'm like, why do you have that many credit cards? Well, it's not like I need the cash almost. It's just like I need the amount of cards, like just the numbers.
Yeah.
And can you just remember your inventory in your head at this point?
No.
So how do you manage your inventory?
So before this year, I had it all Excel'd. I had I'll show it to you guys after, but it was like inventory, sales.
And you just taught yourself this?
Yeah. I kind of like, I know the basis of Excel. So I just kind of learned a little bit of like how to like color code, how to like, just little stuff. Like I'm not like a crazy guy in Excel or whatever, but, so I just had like inventory, sales, expenses, whatever. And then just kind of like, I really got it down to the T though. So I'd have like when I purchased it, the order number, the tracking number of the retailer, when I sold it, how much I sold it for profit, any like extra expense. So like I would know like the ship. Let's say I ship something out right to a customer. I would put that in like by itself. I wouldn't just put it as an expense. I would put it like by itself, and then there was like any other expenses. Because then now I have stuff from my U.S. like I have a U.S. address. So sometimes when I ship things over, I would have a different, like I'd have to add that cost in as well. So I have everything like really like sorted out, so you know exactly what I'm like where the money's going to. Which is, I think, really important. Like, you have to know in any business, like, you have to know exactly where everything. Yeah, I mean, it's not even just skill, though. I think it's just, like, you need to have, like, the discipline like that, like, where you know exactly what's going in, what's going out, where everything's going, because you never want to be lost one day and, like, wake up and, like, oh, what happened?
Where did that accuracy come from? Did you lose money at the beginning where you weren't tracking some stuff and realized the importance? Or
no, I think I always was tracking it, but I like the detail more. So I like the detail of having, you know, everything really laid out right in front of you. I think that's always just a thing I've liked, where I'm like really detailed. Like it's almost it's overly detailed at one point. So like my dad would be like, why do you even have this record? Like you don't need that. But I just liked it just because it's always in like, you know, so I know kind of like really the analytics of it. But this year, there's so StockX, funny enough, they partnered in with like, they bought out this company called Scout, and Scout is a reselling like, like not a template, but it's a whole like software, and you can input like your inventory, your sales. They can give you all the numbers. So that's what you're using now? Exactly. I use that now, and then they gave it to me early for free because I'm like a high rated StockX seller or something like that. So they just let me in for free and let me use it. It is a so that's what you're using now. Yeah. That's kind of what you're doing on an everyday basis. Yeah. I know some people in the office were wondering, and if I was listening, I could be wondering too, why are you even still in school? Why am I in school? And I know Anthony wanted me to ask this question. Yeah. Yeah, sorry. No, I don't want you to leave. You're my roommate, so if you leave another person down, we got to find a random. No, I don't want to. Look, school is... Because, I mean, I guess you're busy, like, you're doing this on an everyday basis. Yeah, you're busy doing stuff. How are you... Yeah, you realize I'm busy. You see that I'm... Totally. Busy. How are you able to balance this and do both things at once? No, it's tough. But 2257 this year? Yeah, that's gonna be a killer with my program. But I mean, you got to be really disciplined, I think, and not waste any time. And I think like I can't complain at my level because there's so many levels ahead. And if you think this is it now, you're done, right? But you do a good job of prioritizing what you got to get done. Yeah, I think especially the business side. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I like to get everything sorted throughout the day, like have my checklist every day, like whatever I have to do. You're definitely probably learning more. I think so too. I think everyone our business program. What are you using for your checklist? No, I just use honestly just for notes. I just use notes, and I just checklist on what you need to do. Exactly. Every day. I do like a to-do tomorrow, and I do it at night, and just have everything written down or whatever, and then next morning start. Do you do all the shipping of your product yourself? Yeah. So I would just I just have a bunch of boxes that I've had from getting stuff in, and I have them all like put out in a kind of corner and everything. So at the student rental in Western, are you shipping out, or do you ship out? From actually, I did at one point a little bit. I you go back and forth quite a bit though. Oakville and London. So usually what I manage inventory. Exactly. Yeah, and honestly, God bless my mom, but she's helping me out a bit when I'm away. Which I feel like, it's not the best thing to do, but it's temporary. Yeah, no, it works. But it works. And then I go back and forth, right? So I try to when I'm at school, I'm telling everyone listen, I'll be back here, and then I can kind of get everything done in a weekend and then come back. Yeah. So to be clear, you're prioritizing what you should be, I think, the business right now over. I think so. Yeah. Over school. That's clear. Don't tell my dad that, but yeah. So I mean. Yeah. No, that's totally fair. And then, so how are you able to balance it? It's tight. Oh yeah, I know it is. I it's tough, but I mean, nothing in this life is that you want is going to be easy, right? I think everyone knows that by now. And I think once you get the degree, you're. Oh yeah, once I get the degree, you're out. I'm out. I feel the same way. I feel the same way. Body. Yeah, both of you guys are hilarious. Yeah. Okay.
What, like, paint a picture of this industry a little bit. So I know there's these Jordan 1s and there's these Yeezys and stuff like this.
Yeah.
But then there's some collabs like with Christian Dior.
Right.
And Jordans or something.
Right.
And then those shoes just go crazy and you try to get them with your bot.
So the way that Dior Jordan 1, that was the first ever like designer with Jordan.
That was a huge deal.
That was a huge deal, right? And
why don't you talk about just your story about that briefly?
Yeah. So it was more of a connections kind of thing. And I know that they switched. So the original release method was that if you know someone, you're gonna get them, kind of thing. And my dad has good contact with that. Yeah, he doesn't, like kind of buying that stuff, but he has the contacts, so which is nice. Got me in like that. I had to connect with the Toronto store.
The Dior
store. Yeah, exactly. And then they switch it to like a raffle. And I woke up one morning, I see that this raffle's open for the Dior's. I'm like, what the heck? So I enter. I put in everyone that I know that I could enter. You have to be over 18. So I just put in like, everything like that. And funny enough, it was my dad's name that was selected, which I think is kind of like, I don't think that's the way it worked. I think because they knew that he was on this list before, that it kind of worked out like that. So that's how I got those. And it's funny enough. So I just wanted to get on the topic of it. Like when a lot of people like, right now people are listening like, oh, like this guy, like there's a lot of things that, that go wrong. Like let's say, or you make mistakes, right? Like there's a lot of mistakes. So it's not like always like sunshine and rainbows. It's like, like let's say for those in general, like I think I missed out on probably like $8,000 profit, like on that.
Why?
Because I like my initial intention was that I thought I would hold them for a bit.
How much were they to buy?
They were about 3,000.
That's a retail.
Retail was.
And
like,
when they came out, what
they
was
like when they came out, I had an offer. I walked out of the store at an offer, 18,000. So
insane. That's
insane. I said, listen.
So sorry, somebody's just outside the doors of the store.
Like I had someone on my contact saying, listen, I will take them today.
He knew you.
I knew I was gonna get them. So someone was like out the door. Listen, I'll give you $18,000 cash. Done. And in my head, I'm like, I think that because if someone's offering me this much already, you shouldn't just take it right away. Like you should kind of find your options, whatever. And the shoe kind of went the way I didn't think it was gonna go. And it happens with anything, right? Like, it's just the way of life, right? So it didn't go the way I expected to. And then, that release kind of happened, whatever. And it is what it is, right? Like,
it happens. And
it happens.
And you still made a massive,
yeah, I still made money.
You still did well.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think, I was actually, I was talking to, my friend's mom actually recently, and we were talking about, because, my friend, he's very like conservative with his money, let's say. He's very like, like he wants to, he's very tight, let's say. And she told me, like, we were talking, like, honestly, like, she goes, the way I look at it is like, you should always think that you live with abundance. You don't live with not
scarcity.
Enough. Scarcity. Exactly. And I think that's a good mindset, that you just shouldn't be scared, especially if it's something like, let's say, to improve your business or something like that. I don't think you should ever, cut yourself short and be like, no, this is like too risky, whatever. If you believe in it and something like that, and you should believe like there's abundance, there's always more coming. So you should never worry about that kind of stuff. So I think, like there was a lot of times where I've lost, profit or whatever, but I don't like stop at those things and go, oh, like this is like a really big hit, I should just stop.
So you're talking about this because you bought it for 3. You could have sold them for 18 for a profit of $15,000.
Yeah, exactly.
But then these came down in value, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah, they settled down to a much lower value. I thought they were gonna go honestly to around 25. That was my guess.
You want to say what you sold them for?
Well,
you don't have to.
Yeah, it's whatever. It's.
Yeah, it's totally fine.
Yeah, totally.
It's all good. But I did.
But you still did well with those.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. I did well, but I mean, it's.
I could see
totally.
this one. You're dwelling on this one.
Yeah.
But that's just kind of life in business.
And
but
that happens anywhere.
And well, we know crypto, same thing. NFTs, we've had the same kind of idea with stuff like that. Like
Bitcoin, that's okay though. I'm still stacked.
No, Bitcoin's okay.
That'll be completely fine. We're good there.
No. But I mean, like NFTs, like.
But I know what you mean. Yeah.
Like you never know. Like so, it's. You can have your educated guess, but it's at the end of the day, it's the market, and whatever happens. So you can't guess that for sure. But
Okay,
and is that some in this industry, are collaborations between designer brands like Dior and some of these other ones and these shoe companies still a trend?
Mm-hmm.
So that's still a thing. Like
yeah.
if some of these designer brands go together with Nike to develop some shoes, that's like a big deal still.
Yeah, of course. Louis Vuitton, Nike did a whole collection with Virgil actually. So it was because you know how Virgil was the executive designer for Louis Vuitton.
I didn't, but now I do.
And he passed away recently. So
that's that guy.
Yeah,
he passed away suddenly. Young guy.
Not the off-white designer,
but I think he had cancer. So.
Oh, okay, got it.
And
I think he kept it private. And
he kept it private.
Passed,
exactly.
Okay. It came out. Yeah.
So they had this collaboration between these Nike, Louis Vuitton, Off-White kind of thing, and those are crazy, right? But yeah, they're it's not like a huge thing right now. Like you can't just have like every single designer brand all of a sudden jump into this market. It has to be very like selective and stuff like that, because then people realize like it's just becoming like what's the word, like
it's a little saturated.
Exactly, saturated. Like you want to keep it limited and special. So
in the shoe space going forward from here, do you think shoes are something that will always be something you can buy and sell for a profit just because of the culture of them? Like are shoes always something that are going to carry a price increase?
It seems like that.
I think so, but you know, with anything, right? Like right now, let's say, between last year to now, obviously the market slowed down with everything, like economically.
Yeah.
So it's part of that economic thing. It's not like it's a separate entity. It's part of the economic market. So, I mean, you know, when things slow down, what can you do? You just got to keep going, right? So, but yeah, I mean, there's always going to be a market for stuff like this, like 100%, because the demand, they purposely do this. They don't make 2 million pairs. And even if they do make 2 million pairs, honestly, sometimes it won't even satisfy the demand. Like it's crazy, right? So
they want their stuff to be
exactly 100%
praised and people like sought after
100%, because it's for the brand. So then, like, you know, you couldn't get the rare shoe, but you're gonna settle for this kind of like other Nike shoe, let's say, or something like that, and you're still ended up buying into the brand.
So now
you guys are blowing my mind with all this understanding of the economy, scarcity, price points at your ages. This is just insane for me to listen to you two go back and forth.
Well, okay, so no, this is what you're. So yeah, this is where you're at now. Now, what are your plans kind of for the future? Do you have any different ideas? Do you want to scale this even more?
See, I've been really on that subject, like myself, and I'm thinking like, do I really want to go to the next? Because I know what I have to do it, and sometimes I think like, I love what I do, right, and whatever, but I don't know if I'll do it forever, right? And I think I want to move on to other things too, and I'm always exploring those kind of ideas. But
you've learned so much, I feel like.
That was the whole point. In the end of the day, I didn't go into shoes. I went to shoes just because I like shoes. I didn't go in it to make money. And I make that very clear every time I talk about this kind of stuff. Because people are always like, this, like, you can make so much money, whatever. I didn't even care about the money at the time. It was literally just because I like shoes, and I explained that to you. It was back in like beginning of high school. I saw this guy and like I got so interested. That's what happened. And I built up my own collection. Like my collection is, it's a good collection, right? So that's what I enjoy at the end of the day. But it's not.
Yeah, doing this, you've been able to
build
your own decent collection.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sometimes we laugh at the gym. We're like, "Fuck, what are you wearing right now?" No one else would be wearing those in the gym.
Yeah. But no, but like that was the whole point. Is like, and then I realized when I took it to like a business sense, I was like, me and my dad talked about it. He's like, listen, this is gonna be a learning experience more than anything. So I learned how to like. The amount of times I've called banks, I've talked to like, let's say PayPal, you have to talk to shipping companies. I've learned so much. You've
done a lot of different things.
Oh, that's the whole learning. And like, just endless things that it's like, you'll never learn at school. So I that's why, me and Aiden always talk about it, and we're always like, school is, but
I feel the same way, just seeing stuff here and being able to help out here and,
exactly
filling properties and stuff.
Exactly.
And helping out Anthony with different things.
Exactly. Like,
it's so true.
You would never in any class, you'd ever learn that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
totally.
And it's just like, and even like having like the basic social skills, like when you're like how you talk to someone when you meet them, like, it's just a lot of like, negotiating, like you're not going to learn that. Right. So,
you're fortunate you had parents to support you through this, to get you started with the credit card.
Of course.
Helping out with shipping.
Of course. It definitely helped, like, accelerate my.
Have you ever been stuck with some inventory where like, damn, how am I going to get rid of this? And you really had to go on a marketing spree.
Not even a mark. Honestly, sometimes, because in my, like, I know I could do that, like marketing. Like that's like kind of the next stage, right? Is really to really market my brand. And I see myself more of as a supplier, not like a, there's two sides of this game. There's a supplier kind of point, and there's like these guys that are trying to really get the top dollar to these end users. That's what it kind of is. I'm more of a supplier. So when I look at that, I honestly I clear inventory. I would just be like, hey, whatever, I take it for what I paid for, maybe even a loss. I don't care. It's just moving money at the end of the day. I don't want to get rid of it. So it just happens to, like, everything like that. But I mean,
you see that everywhere.
You're speaking like an experienced business guy, 20 years old. You're just moving inventory to get it. But everything that you've learned here, you've learned sales, you've learned relationships, you've learned how to market if you need to market, you've learned inventory controls, you're tracking expenses, you're accounting, how to deal with the banks. Like everything you're listing off is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
I need to ask you a couple other things. Why did you get some of your roommates to sleep at outside of Best Buy? What's the Best Buy sleeping outside of Best Buy?
Best Buy, well, that was in short, like $3,000 profit in a night. So I don't think that's that bad.
So what? How did that work?
It was,
to be clear, I wasn't one of the ones.
No, he wasn't one of the ones. He was too good for that. So, but no, but
it was in the middle of the winter. I was sleeping in my bed.
Yeah, that was like last year I told myself, and I was like, I'm gonna like really see how far I can do this. Like I would never do that really, but it was just kind of funny. Like
those are fun times.
Yeah, it was funny.
You guys had a good time.
Exactly, it was
so
a fun time.
What were you buying?
There was probably a couple quizzes that you missed doing.
Oh yeah, one or two.
I think I was sending you some stuff from home.
It's okay.
But yeah, no, that was good. That was so
fun.
funny.
But it was just fun, and it's funny. Like,
what were you buying?
Graphics cards. So at the
cards.
time, a lot of people it's funny. It's in the crypto space because I know you guys are in the crypto space.
Bitcoin
and Ethereum and all
Bitcoin
that kind of stuff. Bitcoin space. Sorry, no poo coins or anything like that. No. But these guys were buying these graphics cards, and at one point I met with someone who had investors, I think, and they had a huge facility, and they were buying about 100 graphics cards a month, and each graphics card is probably like $1,000. They're buying like 100 of these a month, and they're setting them up all to just mine coins, right? And so when
it's funny how that's created demand for that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, and that's what happened. And then with the chip shortage and all that, like it made it crazy, right? So like I remember like I would buy these the 3080 Founders Edition, and everyone knows if you know, you know. And you get one of those, you're buying them for, I think it was like $1,100. You're selling them for $3,000 out there, like the same day.
Yeah. So you knew at Best Buy they were gonna have a release of these
through that Discord, I think.
Exactly, yeah. And then you have the idea of when it's gonna happen. You set up and whatever. But yeah. And then PS5s, obviously, like sometimes I would tell Michael Goverty, like my other roommate, like, come with me to the store real quick. Because it's one per person. So I'd go in and be like, listen, just take this credit card, whatever. Here's a number. Just go.
Same thing with Nike Dunks. The Panda.
That was a good day though. That was
You cleared.
I cleared out. I think the whole. I think they had like maybe 20 pairs. I took 13 of them.
So what happened here?
So that was it was a kind of a hunch that wasn't confirmed because in London, not much. My group's mostly based in Toronto, and there's not much information in London, right? Because it's not as big. So I took a hunch that the other Nike stores in Toronto were getting the Pandas, and I was like, look, I'm gonna go to the mall. This is like the nice mall that's in London, and I was like, we're gonna try, right? We walked in, we didn't expect anything, and you've been waiting. You see, he's wearing them until now.
They're on my feet. You've been waiting. This pair specifically.
He's been waiting for he's been asking me like, I want pandas, and every one of my all the roommates wanted pandas. So I was like, okay. I don't know for sure. Just let's go in the morning. And I got everyone up before, what was it? When did they open at? Like 10?
Yeah, I think
they opened at 10. So I woke everyone up like, let's go, whatever.
I think because that was like probably after that was a weekend. So that's why everyone was still.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was it was a weekend. So I was like, hey guys, like I don't know for sure. We're just gonna try. We get there. I walk in.
This is the what? Foot Locker?
The Nike store.
Oh, sorry, Nike store. Got it. Okay.
And the Nike store, the way they do it is they don't have a number that you can call. So you can't even call the store directly. They only get sent to customer service, like the whole night. You're not gonna get the store, so you don't know. So I literally walk in. The store just opened. I go to the left. I see them, and I'm like, this is gonna be crazy. So. Everyone buys a pairs. I'm calling Aiden because he went back to sleep. I'm like, dude, you gotta get over here. Like, you need to get these. Like, I know you want these.
For some reason, my car was blocking from someone else's car. I had to
it was
Ubering over.
Yeah, it was he Ubered there. Oh,
even though my car, I couldn't move it for some reason.
Yeah. So anyway, so it was funny, and I'll explain. So how I was saying, like, negotiating and skills and all that kind of stuff and talking to people. That's important because the way that I did it is that when I walked out, it's one per person, right? I walked out, I saw a group of teenage kids. They're just minding their business. I went to them and said, hey, listen, you go in there for me, get me these. You got $20, whatever. $20. Who can complain? In like 5 minutes, you walk in, you come out, and they're done. So I got like a group of kids. I don't know how many there were. Like what, 7 or 8 of them?
Something like that. Yeah.
7 or 8 of them. I just said, just go in. I don't care what the size is. Like, try to get these sizes, whatever. Go in. I started handing out my cards, and it's great that I had them on me, but I wish I had
handed out your credit cards.
Oh yeah, I was so it was a whole system going on. I had 2 guys, me and one other guy here, so in case they run away with my whatever. So I'm waiting there. They're going in like they get. I think the guys
like full credit to you for
I don't know how
getting all the pairs that you wanted.
I set it. Yeah, I don't know how it's set up like that, but yeah. So they would go in one by one. I'd see the charge on my card. I'm like, okay, he's done. He's coming out. He comes, gives me the shoes. On to the next. And then there was another group of like 3. Got them to go in. And then it was funny because I saw these other guys that were like, you can tell they're reselling, right? Like, and they're walking out with their 2 pairs or whatever, and they're all happy. And I'm like, yeah, good job, guys. And then meanwhile, I'm having like 10 of them in the trunk of my car, like getting sent to my car. And it was just.
So how many pairs did you walk back with? Like come home with that day?
I think it was like 13.
So you got 13 pairs of these pandas.
Yeah, and the margins on them are crazy. So you buy them for, I think it was one with tax, $135.
So is it your worst nightmare when one of your buddies wants to buy one of these pairs? Because I bet you give buddy pricing or something.
Yeah. And Aiden, actually, it's funny. Aiden got a different, a smaller size or something like that. What was it? You got like a size 10, and he needed a 10.5, and I had a 10.5. But the 10.5's worth more, whatever. And I was like, hey, listen, whatever. We'll just get it over with. You can have your 10.5. Enjoy the shoes.
Gave me the swap.
Yeah, I gave him the swap. So. But yeah, so I mean, whoever got their shoes that wanted them at that day, like they paid for that's theirs, right? But I ended up getting a bunch for myself, which is nice. And then I sold those off. They went pretty fast. Like, pandas are just crazy. So,
wow. Yeah. What is the most popular men's size of shoe?
Men's size, probably like 10, 10.5.
10, 10.5?
Yeah, because that's actually what they make the most
women's
size. Women's probably, I'd say maybe an 8.
Is the women's market as popular as well?
Oh yeah, of course.
So you do women's Nike?
Of course,
okay.
Yeah. Okay. I get like smaller sizes on purpose sometimes for
Can you get smaller men's sizes sometimes?
Yeah.
Women will buy the small. Isn't it like the same shoe?
Exactly. Yeah, it's the same thing. But a lot of them, there's like grade school sizing. It's like
got it. So you get like the
kids
or youth size, like
youth
a large youth size could maybe fit
7. Yeah, exactly. So like a 7 youth is an 8.5 woman, or a 6 youth is a 7.5 woman. So you just kind of know like that's the difference. But yeah, so it's that's basically how it is. And
that's awesome. Yeah, no, you're doing cool things, man.
Fayek, impressive, man. I can't wait to see what you do next. Even if you don't continue this, like you guys have been saying,
and I'm sure you've been able to build up a good, savings and invest in some things.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to talk about quickly. I know you're starting to think about your first property.
Oh yeah. I know we're here, so we gotta talk about properties.
No, you don't need to. You don't.
No. But I want to. But I think it's really important. I think I know
real estate's also in your family a bit.
Oh yeah,
so I'm sure that's
exactly. There's a huge influence there. My dad being a broker and whatnot. So. Like I'm definitely looking to get into properties. I think that's the next step for me. And I think it's because obviously very like basic terms, shoes and house flipping is kind of similar in a way. With like how that all works. Obviously it's a lot harder and everything like that with properties, but
what you were saying earlier about those bots, like
with renting and stuff like that. Rental properties is the same idea, right? Like you can buy something and hopefully that you either there's two main, when you buy a rental property, you're looking at 2 things. You're either looking at buying something and almost breaking even and then banking on equity, or you're buying it and then you're getting your money's coming in basically from the actual rent, not from the equity. You're not really banking on the equity. So there's like that whole game too. Like so me and Aiden have a lot of talks at home. We have a lot of good talks.
The future is bright listening to you too. But yeah, on the properties, it's the exact same game you're doing now. You have to access capital.
Exactly.
Every real estate investor, instead of maybe getting credit cards for the capital, you're trying to get to all the banks you can to give you a mortgage.
Yeah,
you're accessing capital. Then you're looking for inventory. And inventory, if you kind of just look on MLS, it's not as good as developing relationships with builders.
Yeah,
of course.
We're seeing that even stuff that we're interested in now.
Yeah,
like
so
you can see that. Yeah, exactly what
just
you're talking
like
about.
you're doing with the shoes, right? The relationships
100%.
matter, and then selling them, knowing what sells, knowing how to rent out properties, how to manage the cash flow,
Of course.
how to track
And with
your expenses.
even supply and demand stuff reflects on pricing, obviously here too, just because of all the population demand stuff that we talk about here.
Yeah,
you see it. It's all the same principles tie over.
Of course. Like I agree. Like, so that's why, like, I think that's like a next space for me. I definitely want to get into rental properties and stuff like that. I think that's a really, really good way of stepping into like coming out of school, because you have something that you have to your name, you know, and you have a residual income that's coming in. And yeah, of course you can build equity and all that stuff. It depends on what you buy, but yeah, like it's just like that's the kind of the way to do it, I feel. And a lot of people here, I think in Canada, like a lot of the ways that people go to these next steps is with properties, I think. A lot of people like use their houses to expand businesses and stuff like that. It's you know, it's just because the crazy market and you have a lot of equity and stuff like that. So you can always build towards it. And like, I know your business is all about like, you know, you can refinance, go to the next property and all, like, you know, there's all these stages. So yeah, like that's what I'm looking into. Obviously there's other like ventures I want to look into too. Like,
you're into cars. I don't know if you're going to talk about that now, but
cars. Yeah. I mean,
you're into cars.
Yeah, like it's not a good time because I think we're talking about properties and buying properties and I'm buying cars, right? So buying a depreciating asset, but no, but yeah, like even like that. So there's markets for a lot of things. But I think the most important thing is you have to look into what you're interested in. Because in the end of the day, you want to go to work like liking what you do. And that's what I like right now. Like I go do my work, and it's not like, you know, I'm not saying this in a bad way, but like I talk to a bunch of my friends and they go to work and they're like, oh, I hate work, whatever. And I'm like, okay, but I go to work and I'm enjoying it. Like, oh, it's fun that I get to do this and I'm dealing with shoes and stuff like that. That's like my, you know, that's what I like, right? So,
it's awesome being able to have a job or, you know, doing whatever and enjoying it and learning. Like,
exactly, yeah, like, you know, and obviously, you know, there's your own time and stuff like that and management and stuff like that, which is cool. Like, I think I'm learning a lot like that. Definitely, I don't know, like, yeah, I agree. Like, yeah, I enjoy doing that. And then I don't know, we'll see how it goes in the future.
It's gonna go great.
Hopefully.
I already know it's gonna go great.
Hopefully, but I mean,
yeah, man, you have a cool story already, so.
Yeah, I mean, we have a good story. I mean, maybe we'll visit the podcast again with.
You're welcome anytime.
Yeah.
You and your dad should come on.
I think we should do a duo.
Ryan should come for sure.
Do a duo. That would be crazy. Yeah. That would break the internet.
Yeah, wow, the four of us going.
Oh my god.
Anyone who knows Ryan, that may break the internet.
Oh, I think so.
Here together.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'll definitely ask him. He'll definitely want to come on. So we'll definitely do that. And yeah, I mean.
If anyone wants to contact you, want to shout out your Instagram?
Yeah, do you want to share contact information or not? You don't have to either.
No, I don't mind. I mean, the thing is, my old, so on my original Instagram, I had about 4,500 followers at the time, which is decent, right? Like, you know, for a supplier, I'm not even like trying to build a brand or whatever. So I just had that. It was nice. And then that got taken away from me. And now I had to restart fresh. So I don't.
Instagram shut down the account.
Yeah. Instagram shut down the account, whatever. And it's not because it was a misjudgment from them. I don't know what it was just a whole thing. I can never get a hold of them, whatever. Gone. So
shoot your new handle. If
it's so it's at proper resale and then an underscore. So my original was just proper resale without the underscore, and then I just had to add the underscore.
Okay.
Put that in the description of this episode.
Yeah. So and then I mean. There's definitely a lot of like, you know, a lot of thinking. I think the most important thing, I think, like just people to know is like sometimes even myself, like I always get stuck and I'm like, oh, like, you know, like what am I gonna do? Like sometimes you get like you're like always like you're thinking too much and you're like, oh, like what's the next direction? What's this? Like you're always thinking, right? But it's always like for us at least, we have a lot of time, so like can't really stress out about that. But I think you should never like give up. Like I think that's like a big thing, right? Like a lot of people like kind of give up and then go into something that they're not interested in or whatever. And I don't think that's the whole point is that you want to do something that you like, right? And you shouldn't give up on like what you think is right? So And it's just, that's my theory, right? So I think
Fayek, it's a great theory, man. It's a pleasure getting to watch you through these years, from watching you play soccer.
Yeah.
Like I said at the beginning, I'm never going to forget your free kick.
Yeah.
You were the legendary free kicker.
Yeah.
Your free kicks, and then watching you evolve into doing this, and then watching you guys together and listening to you guys talk about business and assets and appreciating assets. The future for you guys is, your generation too, is like inspiring. I think a lot of times people my age will look at younger generation and go, oh, geez, I don't know what's going to happen with this generation.
Yeah.
Your generation seems really set.
We'll be all good.
Hopefully.
Thank you for doing this, man. I really appreciate it. Anything else? We're good. We're good. Anything else you want to share?
No, I think we're good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was great.
Aiden, thank you. Awesome, guys.
Perfect. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. You can find every new episode of the Your Life, Your Terms show on all the major streaming platforms. So Spotify, iTunes, Google Play. And if you'd like to get free copies of some of the books that we've put together, like these right here, or some of the reports that we've put together, like these right here, you can find all of those at www.rockstarinnercircle.com. That's www.rockstarinnercircle.com. That's it for now. Until next time, your life, your terms.